Welcome to the first ever Swords and Self-Improvement. In this series, I'm going to be talking about self-improvement, and I'm going to have a sword with me while I do so. Two things I think are very important in life: swords and self-improvement. So, I want to start off this series by talking about something that I think a lot of people don't even realize is a factor of self-improvement. Not really a fact. Whoa. Why you should build things. Because I feel like there's a lot of topics discussed in self-improvement or in self-improvement videos. And I think it's usually about like, go to the gym, lift some weights, meditate, drink water, have healthy relationships, have a healthy mindset, read, start a business, all of these are really, really good things that I think you should do, and I'm probably going to make my own video discussing each one of them. But there's something that I feel like a lot of people I've never heard almost anyone talk about this. And it's creation. It's building something more than yourself. And for me, it's these swords. If you've ever watched my channel before, you will know that I'm a craftsmanship when it comes to a lot of weaponry. Not medieval, but melee. Like swords, shields, armor, all of that stuff. Oh, hello, buddy. How you doing? Here, let's see if I can turn you around so you can say hi to the camera. This is Emmett. Anyway, so I feel like a lot of people don't ever talk about building things. Like, for you, it could be like carpentry. Like building shelves or building furniture and such. For me, it's building swords because that's what I really find passionate. It's creating something with your own hands. Like as people on self-improvement, we like build businesses and create habits and stuff, and that's all creation and building. But physically creating something with your hands, like a sword or something you've always wanted. Like when you were a kid, I'm sure you drew up dumb plans for silly little inventions. See if you could make one of those work. I mean, I used to draw up stuff like gadgets of how I could fly to the outer space. And I mean, I'm not making that, but maybe you could make something like a really interesting telescope, or customize a telescope you have. And that's a really way to get into things. Like, you can customize things that you already have. Like, let's say, for my example, I'm going to be using like swords and stuff because that's, this is all me. And so what I'm thinking is like, okay, let's say you buy a sword online and the handle's too short. So what you could do is you could be like, you know what? Maybe I can create a pommel extension for this sword. And then that could be your build, and then you can slowly ease your way into... My book just fell, give me a minute. Into making things that, So... Oop. It's licking the sword here. Good boy. So, why build? Like, actual, like, scientific reasons. It increases your anxiety and depression resilience. Like, if you're building something, if you make, like, this chair, let's say, I didn't make this chair, but let's say if you really want to make a chair like this, and so you do some research and you build this chair, every time you sit in this chair, you're going to be happy. Every time I wield this sword, I'm happy. Because I made this. Like, right now, sure, this kind of broke off, but I can fix it. I can fix it, and that gives me a lot of fulfillment. It's instant delayed gratification, because it's also it lets you practice delayed gratification. Like, I didn't start this build for this sword. Instant gratification would be just buying a sword like this, and that's instant gratification. But delayed gratification is taking the time to learn the skills. I made this. This is the first sword I wanted to make this sword when I first started. I was like, number one sword. I'm gonna start with this sword. This is my custom personal sword, and I originally tried to make this first. Like, this is before sword, and I tried to make it and it failed horribly. It broke, and it didn't even look like this. So I had to learn other skills to, like, I've created, I think, over 15 swords before I made this, because I realized that I need a certain amount of skills to get the sword that I really want. And so that's delayed gratification. And it's kind of instant because it doesn't take as long as building a business. This took me a week to make. And so it's instant delayed gratification. And yeah, it really does give you a sense of accomplishment. Like I'm really accomplished whenever I make. If you've ever made something, like let's say with your dad when you're working on, like, he's like, here son, help me build the porch, and you build the porch with him, you're like, you have happy memories of you building the porch with your dad, because every time you're on that porch, now you see the what you've built and the memories that you shared. You get what I'm saying? Being able to build things, it's a skill, and you can tell people, yeah, I make swords, I do that, I make armor, I make chairs, I make porches. I don't know, I'm pretty blank right now on things to make. Hey buddy. And it helps you learn new skills. Like, there's not a person in the world who's gonna tell you that building things is useless. Like, I don't, unless they're completely brain dead. Like, if I get stranded on an island because I wanted to make swords, I also know how a good amount of carpentry. So now let's say I get stranded on an island, boom, I could probably make a pretty nice house. Not like a modern house, but something that I could, withstand the elements. And not only that, like, let's say, like, later down the road, you get married, and your wife has, like, a bunch of, like, shelves that she just bought, and she can't put them together. You don't want to be that bumbling idiot who, like, calls somebody to assemble IKEA furniture. If you can make a porch or a sword or a chair, you can assemble some shelves. It's just, it trains your mind to see things in a different way. Like, when I'm looking at this tripod right here, I know you can't see it, but there's a tripod holding up my camera right here. Like, I'm thinking, that's 2 pipes or 3 pipes with a lever that holds them together. Like, it's like, in the Lego movie, when you, like, see, like, you get, like, the master builder vision. It's literally like that. For me at least. Now, I don't know, it's been probably like 5-10 years since I, like, started making things with my hands. I started off with action figures and I moved to bigger things, but yeah. It's a distraction too. It's a distraction from addictions and illnesses and all that. Whenever I'm building this, you can easily get in a flow state. Like, if you're making something, like, let's say, again, I'm going back to the chair example, but let's say you're like, you've made 5 chairs already, and you're working on your 6th. You're gonna get in a flow state because you know how to make chairs, and you're just gonna be listening to music and, like, drawing it out, hammering it together, screwing it, cutting out the wood. Do you see something? You alright? You're gonna get in a flow state, and there's gonna be no thoughts in your head. It's like meditation almost. What do you see? Oh, there's a bunny out there. There's a bunny. I'll show you if he finishes in time, but he is perked up. It's okay, bud. It increases your attention span, which I know is completely screwed over. Like, you're from all the stupid TikToks you've been watching. Like, bro, get off TikTok. Delete all the social media. I have YouTube because, I'm a YouTuber, and I have YouTube because I watch videos often on how to build things, but that's it. That's the only reason I have YouTube. I don't have TikTok, Instagram, social media. Everyone's like, why don't you have TikTok? That's so amazing. Or Snapchat. It's dopamine. It kills my attention spans. It's terrible for you. If you don't know this by now, you literally have to be living under a rock. But, so get off social media too. But this does help build back your attention span. If you're someone like me, who I just naturally don't have a good attention span, like, even without social media. If I had social media, I'd probably be like the dumbest person you'd ever meet. But because my attention span would be so bad. So this kind of rewires your brain to think more slowly. And it's not instant. It's it's instant delayed gratification. Alright, also, last thing, it increases your problem solving skills. Because, like, if you're making something and you run into an issue with it, you're gonna be better at solving problems, because you're like, this nail's bent and the wood's now chipped, and I'm like, oh, great, what am I gonna do? And so you're thinking of all the ways you could fix that and make it better for next time. And so then when you're in a team with somebody and something doesn't go your way or something doesn't go their way, you can play the leadership role and think practically and real. Because the first time maybe you mess up on like building something, you're gonna be like, damn it, and cursing and cussing, throwing things and being all emotional. But by the 10th time you mess up, you're gonna be like, dang, I did that. How can I fix this? It's stoicism. It is what it is. How can I move on? That's all stoicism is. And this is a great practice for it. It's a great outlet. And what building things does is gives you accomplishment, and it makes you really practice things you are already learning in self-improvement on a smaller scale. Because if you can't do it in this smaller scale, you're not going to be able to do it when it really matters. My tips for starting building are find something you're passionate about. For me, it's swords, and armor and all of that. Because you can, like, if you're like, oh man, I always wanted like a specific type of mug. Like I saw this mug on Pinterest or something. Like your mom saw something on Pinterest and you're like, I always wanted to make a mug, now when I think about it. And so you learn, take pottery classes. You don't really need pottery classes with, you have the internet, look it up. But you can look it up, like, oh, how do I make pottery out of clay and all of that. And soon enough, and then maybe you'll expand to bowls, and from bowls you go to plates and vases and all of that. And so when you find like mine was swords. I wanted to make a wooden sword because my brother got. Do I have one? I actually do have one here. We went to the Renaissance fair. Sorry, buddy. He is really interested in that bunny. It's okay, buddy. Let it go. Or chase it. Either way. So I got this. My brother got these from the Renaissance fair. And I loved them. But they were weak. And they're so light. And they're like not like swords at all. And they're weak and they're small. They're cool. Like they're nice. But, and I was like, I really wish it had like this design on it. So like, why don't I make my own? I'm skilled enough. I customize action figures. How is wood any harder? And so I started, finding an interest in like, oh, I want to make a sword. So I started doing research, started watching some YouTube videos, and now I know how to make swords. Like, I can make a sword out of almost anything that's wood nowadays. Like, I could turn that wood fence over there into a sword, like if I really wanted to. It wouldn't be a very good one, but I could do it with like a freaking, I don't know, kitchen knife. Like, you get to the point where you can make anything out of everything, and it's amazing. And it gives you like just one more thing you can do, and one more thing you have better than the competition. And I see a lot of people like, oh, tools are expensive, things are expensive. The best tools to buy are old tools, and I'm gonna make my own separate video on this, but you can find some old tools at a thrift store or at a flea market, or just even on the side of the road, or if your uncle's giving them away, take them. When you start building things, have a designated area, and then just hoard. And I know this sounds wrong. I know someone's gonna be like, oh, well, I mean, I know that I shouldn't keep this rusty pipe, but Wolfgang told me to. I'm like, no, obviously, throw away the stuff you're not using and keep the stuff you are. Hoard to a degree. If you could say, I knew what, I could see myself using this. You just chased that bunny so bad. You like my tattoos? Pretty interesting, right? Editing videos really gets me bored sometimes. Anyway, sorry about that. Bro was out chasing bunny, kicked me in the stomach, and had to restart the video. Anyway, and so all in all, before we finish off this first episode of Swords and Self-Improvement, I'd like to say that I really do think that you can build things. Anyone can build something. Do research, watch a few YouTube videos, and try and plan it out first, draw a picture of what you're gonna make, and then just know that the first few tries of making something, like this sword took me 10 20 tries before I made this like this. And this isn't even perfect. I'm gonna probably eventually one day make an improved version, like a part 2. And so just know it's not going to be perfect, and it takes practice because it's a new skill. It's like when you went to the gym for the first time, you weren't immediately lifting like 3,000 pounds, and you weren't, having the correct form on every exercise. You got to learn the form. You got to build up the weights. You got to learn the skill, get the proper tools. It's not immediate. You don't just have the skill and the proper tools. I mean, you can get the proper tools, but what good is it without any skill? And so yeah, my final recommendations is take stuff from the side of the road that's free. Go to flea markets, buy some old tools. Go to Harbor Freight, spooky, Harbor Freight. And yeah, I really think that building can help a lot of people. Building helped me in a time where I wasn't even on self-improvement. I was a little poo-poo kid in middle school, and I was like, ugh, like, it was terrible, life's terrible. Even when I was in the lowest part of my life, I was depressed, I was fat, I was lazy, I had like really long hair, I was pretty feminine. I started building some things, and that kind of like made my direction, like it was going like this, and I started making swords, and I was like, hey, life ain't so bad. And then I started going up, and then I got a girlfriend, and then I dumped her, and then I got on self-improvement. This is a crucial part of self-improvement that I think a lot of people are missing. I'm not saying build this every day, because you got to focus on your business and your gym and all that stuff. But every once in a while, if you get the chance to, build something with your own hands. And I guarantee you're going to feel some accomplishment, and it's really going to help you in the long run. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Let's pose for the thumbnail. So yeah, alright. With that, farewell, fam. Whoop.